Now, if Cesaro and Ricochet impressed on Monday, Charlotte and Lacey Evans did the opposite of impress. Mostly Lacey, just was not very good here. Becky interfered for the DQ to put an end to this finally, dumped Charlotte out of the ring, gave Lacey her manhandle slam, which looked better than it did the week before at least. It's amazing to see, how popular as Becky Lynch still is, and don't get me wrong, she still has her fan following. And she's been in this back and forth Twitter war with Edge and Beth Phoenix. And she mentioned in one of her tweets that her segments, there's like a noticeable spike, I guess, in the internal quarter hours or whatever. Her segment, she claims anyway, her segments kind of shoot up or do better than most other segments on the show. Be that as it may, it's amazing to me to see somebody like Becky who had so much momentum going into WrestleMania to the point that she headlined. She was one of the 3 people who headlined WrestleMania this year, and she won. And now you watch these shows and the way that her segments and the women in general are positioned in just random segments in the middle of the show. They're certainly not main eventing the show like they were going into WrestleMania. And it's just like she's just another part of the show now. Nothing like someone that you would expect or want to see in the main event of WrestleMania next year. She needs the right opponent. She needs somebody she can go after the way that she was able to go after Ronda on social media. And the stuff with her and Edge over the last couple of days has been pretty brutal. I gotta hand it to both of them. The put downs and everything, they've been going back and forth. The problem with it is that, and Becky has been throwing these barbs out there about, redheads and bringing up the old, memories of Lita and everything that happened there. And at one point, Edge in one of his tweets brought up the dick pics that leaked of Seth Rollins many years ago. So these two are going at it tooth and nail. The problem is that it's getting me interested in a match, but it's getting me interested in a match between Becky Lynch and Edge, which, even if Edge could go, is not a match that WWE would ever do. Although I will say, if Edge were medically cleared, I think Edge and Beth kind of feuding with Seth and Becky would be very interesting. And that can make for some pretty good mixed tag team matches. But that's not going to happen. I saw Beth was kind of going after Becky a little bit, and it's like nothing. I mean, Beth has not mastered this game as far as social media like her husband has or like Becky has. Now, I think Becky and Beth could make for a great program, and maybe they even have some great matches together. I absolutely think they should pursue that. It's almost as if Becky feels like what WWE is doing right now with the Lacey stuff and everything, she knows that it's crap. So she has to go on social media and book her own angles, right? It's basically kind of what she and Ronda did together. Because most of the interesting stuff between them came on social media. It was nothing that anybody in the company scripted for them or put in a promo for them to say on TV. So she's going out here and she's basically trying to book her own program with Beth Phoenix. And I think it's smart, and I hope they get the match. But when it comes to having a target for her to go after on social media, which is when she's at her most vicious and her most sarcastic and her most interesting, to me anyway, I don't think Beth is even the person necessarily. When I think of who that person is, the only person I could think of who would really work in this spot, who is currently on the main roster, forget NXT, forget anybody outside the company, the only person who I look at and I go, you know what, if they brought her back in the right way, this could be a lot of fun. This could be something. That person is Sasha Banks, who I'm sure is going to be back soon. It's not like she has very many other options. I mean, I figure the longer she sits out, they're probably just tacking months onto her contract. So I would think at some point, probably in the very near future, she's going to be back on TV. She'll be back on the road. And I think when she comes back, she needs to be a heel and go right after Becky, her very first time back. Just go after her and beat the hell out of her. Bring back the boss that we remember from NXT. There's another school of thought here that would say, well, would you reward bad behavior? Because she took her ball and she went home. What kind of example does that set if she walks back into a big push? There is an argument to be made there. But you know what? They have to go with the people that are going to generate the most interest. So I would like to see Sasha Banks be in that spot, because who else would you put in there? Asuka, if anybody could find her. She's been missing in action. There's a built-in story there. Talked about this before. She didn't just beat Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. She submitted her. She tapped her out. She beat her convincingly. And Becky went on to win the Royal Rumble, went on to win the championship. 2 belts at WrestleMania. What has Asuka done since then? Nothing. There's your story. Asuka snaps. Heel Asuka. She may not be the strongest candidate if you want to get a Twitter war going. That's not exactly her strong suit. But I think she's somebody who the audience could buy into as a legitimate threat. So Asuka has to always be an option on the table. The problem is, I don't see them choosing that option. I don't see them going down that road. So we can put Asuka on the side because it's very obvious to me that for the foreseeable future, she, for whatever reason, is on the back burner in this company. Nikki Cross? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense since Nikki now is a babyface. Becky and Alexa, no. Natty, no. It's not like you have a whole ton of options here. Ruby Riott is hurt. She's going to be gone for a while. So I think Sasha is the person that you slot into that role.